This is 6 News at Noon.
A dramatic scene inside an Eaton County courtroom this morning as a mid-Michigan father couldn't hold back and attacked the man who he says sexually abused his daughters. Thanks for joining us today. At noon, I'm Siobhan Klepfer. That father of three lunged at Larry Nassar moments after hearing two of his girls give their victim impact statements inside a Charlotte courtroom. Today is day 2 of the former MSU and USA Gymnastics doctor's third and final sentencing hearing. Randall Margraves asked Judge Janice Cunningham if he could say a couple of words. This is what happened next, and I want to warn you that there is some strong language in this video.
I would ask you to, as part of this sentencing, to grant me 5 minutes in a locked room with this demon.
I have
would
a feeling.
Would you do that?
That is not how
yes
our.
Or no?
No, sir, I can't.
Would you give me 1 minute?
You know that I can't do that. That's not how our legal system.
Today's sentencing hearing centers around Nassar's assaults at Twistars Gymnastics Club in Diamondale. He pleaded guilty to assaulting 3 girls there, but nearly 60 women and girls are confronting the former doctor in the courtroom.
Live from WLNS TV, this is 6 News at 5.
Madness in the courtroom today as the father of 3 of Larry Nassar's victims tries to attack the disgraced doctor. It's our top story at 5. Thanks for joining us. I'm Lauren Thompson. It was something no one expected, but a distraught father lost control and went after the man who sexually assaulted his daughters. Now here's a look at how it all went down. We want to warn you, there is some strong language.
I would ask you to, as part of this sentencing, to grant me 5 minutes in a locked room with this demon.
I have
would
a feeling.
Would you do that?
That is not how
yes
our.
Or no?
No, sir, I can't.
Would you give me
that.
1 minute?
You know that I can't do that. That's not how our legal system.
Well, Alexandra Illich has been in the courtroom for this entire hearing so far. She was there again today as all of that happened, and she's here for you now, live from Charlotte. What's the latest out there, Allie?
Well, Lauren, that video that you just saw is shedding some light on how emotional it's been for both women and their families in court as they tell their stories. We heard those stories, very emotional stories, in court again today. The very last stories Larry Nassar will hear before he's sentenced on Monday.
I'm here today to say to Larry, you're a disgrace to our profession.
Before Larry Nassar is sentenced in the final criminal case against him, we continue to hear testimony from dozens of women and girls who say the former doctor took advantage of their vulnerability and trust to sexually abuse them during medical treatments.
Each voice in each story is making a difference.
And you could argue that the voices of the army of survivors are making a difference because many who spoke out today say they came forward because of them.
So today, I step out of the shadows and into the light. I stand before you, Larry, as a survivor of your horrific and sick abuse.
Almost 200 women and girls have shared their stories of abuse to the world, and there's a common theme to almost all of them.
Larry, you've turned my entire universe upside down. Everything I thought I knew about my past and about myself has been altered in some way.
I really feel that my entire family has gone through hell and back these last few months because of what Larry Nassar did to both of my sisters and I years ago. My parents are heartbroken and so filled with regret. All 3 of their children were victims of you.
And not only has it affected their families, but it's taken a toll on their mental health.
I've resorted to self-harm, covering my body in scars, trying to cope with the emotional pain that Nassar has caused me. And now the scars on my legs and arms are just painful reminders of the trauma I've suffered.
More than 60 women made impact statements in Eaton County, much different number than what we saw in Ingham County, which was more than 150. Now, without taking away from the statements that you just heard, I want to come back to what we saw the video earlier in the show with the father of the who had a daughter who's a victim of Nassar, who attacked him today in court. We're going to break that down for you coming up tonight at 6. And we're also going to tell you what the judge decided to do about it. Here for you in Charlotte, Alexander Illich, 6 News. Lauren?
All right, thanks, Allie. And in just a few minutes, Randall Margraves, the dad who did lunge at Nassar today, will hold a press conference with his wife and daughters by his side. We have a crew there. We will bring you the latest as it happens.
This is 6 News at 6.
How our legal system.
Well, I'm gonna have to get stuff
What you just saw was the father of 3 of Larry Nassar's victims trying to attack the former gymnastics doctor in Eaton County Circuit Court.
Security tackled him to the ground and no one was hurt, but it certainly caused for some tense moments. Our Alexander Illich was in the courtroom today. Tell us more about what happened, Allie.
Well, Lauren and Jerry, we've seen a lot of tense moments in court. Not one quite like this, though. I mean, some parents in Ingham and Eaton counties have gotten the chance to speak. Some parents have cried, some have expressed anger. But for one father, his emotions got the best of him.
But to you, Larry Nassar, I just hope you live a long, slow life in prison. I want you to know that you no longer hold power over me or my thoughts.
Randall Margraves, the father of 3 women who are victims of Larry Nassar, stood by his daughter's side this morning and heard for the first time the details of the sexual abuse they suffered at the hands of the former doctor.
Judge, what a distraught father. Have a chance to say something.
Once his daughters were finished, Randall asked the judge to speak.
You son of a bitch.
No, we don't want to swear.
This exchange took place between Margraves and the judge.
To grant me 5 minutes in a locked room with this demon.
That's when things escalated.
You know that I can't do that. That's not how our legal system.
Well, I'm gonna have to get stuff.
Deputies in court sprung into action and tackled Margraves to the ground. Get out. You could hear people crying in the gallery as the chaos unfolded in the middle of the courtroom. Margraves was put in handcuffs and held in contempt. After breaking for lunch, Judge Janice Cunningham had Margraves brought back into the court to address the situation.
There is no way that this court is going to issue any type of punishment given the circumstances of this case.
Judge Cunningham told Margraves she could not charge him, but said this.
It is not acceptable that we combat assault with assault. We have to teach our children and other adults that when people do things that are wrong and they break the law, we handle that by using the legal proceedings to punish them.
And at the judge's request, Margraves also apologized for his actions.
I lost control. I apologize 100 times. You have my word, I will not be at future proceedings. I didn't come to the proceedings before today. I came solely for support of my daughters today.
And I apologize. I had forgotten to mention that there was strong language in this package, so I'm sorry if that offended anyone who was not warned beforehand. Now, Larry Nassar's attorney, Matt Newberg, issued a statement about what happened in court today. He said, quote, "We appreciate the actions of the Eaton County Sheriff's Department and the deputies who were in the courtroom. They have gone to great lengths to ensure our safety in and out of the courtroom." Larry Nassar is set to be sentenced on Monday. Here for you in Charlotte, Alexander Illich, 6 News.
All right, thanks, Allie. The Margraves family and their attorneys held a press conference in Okemos just moments ago regarding that outburst.
And 6 News was there to hear what the family wants to make known. Take a listen.
When I had to hear what was said in those statements, and I have to look over at Larry Nassar shaking his head, that's when I lost control. I'm not advocating that everyone should do that. I feel very remorseful, very apologetic.
Jorma Duran is here for you now live in our studio.
He spoke with a therapist about what was likely going on in the mind of that father as he listened to the daughters describe their abuse before he lunged toward Nassar.
Jorma, tell us what you learned.
Sherry, Lauren, I'm learning the mental state of Randall Margraves was potentially a mixture of many emotions people have in his position. Many parents may understand his actions, but to actually act them out means he felt what he needed to prove was worth the potential punishment.
It's a moment that Randall Margraves will likely not regret.
Get out.
Karen Gallagher, a therapist with the Wellness Institute of Michigan, watched the scene on a cell phone, was shocked but not surprised.
I mean, this is a literal, physical example of his emotional pain. This is how he is expressing that.
Gallagher says Margraves may have felt the punishment Larry Nassar is getting from the court isn't enough and was going to try and get his justice in any way he could.
It affects the entire family. And there's a sense of guilt. There's a sense of betrayal. How can this physician who we trusted do this kind of thing?
Another emotion that may have prompted physical action for Margraves was shame for not being the protective father men work hard to be, especially for their daughters. He has 3 who say Nassar sexually abused them, and so he maybe thought the only way to resolve his feelings was to lash out.
I think for a father and for a male, that's probably true, and that he's completely frustrated with this person and wants him to hurt like he's hurt his family.
Now, this outburst also doesn't mean Mr. Hargraves or his daughters will find their pain suddenly dissipate. Their emotions, along with the now more than 250 victims and their extended family, will feel affected from what Nassar did for the foreseeable future.
Thanks, Jorma. Well, of course, there was a lot more happening in the courtroom today other than that attempted attack.
Today was the last day for survivors of Nassar's abuse to make their statements known in court.
How did he do this to me? Visit after visit after visit with my mom, my dad, my coach in the room with me. Was my back even fractured?
The truth is, you and I don't know how many little girls could be saved by the deterrent message that I'm asking you to send. But I do know one thing. Those little girls, wherever and whoever they may be, are worth everything.
With the impact statements now over, Larry Nassar is scheduled to be sentenced in Eaton County on Monday.
This is 6 News at 11.
A local courtroom erupts in violence when a father no longer contains his anger over the abuse his daughters endured. It is our top story tonight at 11. Thank you for joining us. I'm Sherry Jones. The father's anger was among the many emotions shared by the victims of Larry Nassar. The former gymnastics doctor admitted to using his position to sexually assault his patients. Today was the final day of his sentencing hearing in Eaton County. And just like in Ingham County, his hearing included testimony from dozens of women and girls describing Nassar's abuse and its effect on them. Today, after hearing his daughters speak, Randall Margraves charged at Nassar, planning to attack him.
No, sir, I can't do that.
Would you give me 1 minute?
You know that I can't do that. That's not how our legal system works.
Eaton County Sheriff deputies managed to intervene, as you can see in this video, before anyone was hurt. Margraves gave an apology in court, and given the circumstances, the judge chose not to punish him at that time. He did hold a news conference with his family and his attorneys this afternoon and apologized again for his rash actions.
I thank Judge Cunningham and all the court system for their leniency on me. This is cannot be a lawless society. I know that. I lost control, but I regained control later in a holding cell.
Nassar's sentencing hearing in Eaton County is now complete. He'll find out his punishment on Monday.